let me be clear. As I've said all along, this case should have never been brought. And I did nothing wrong.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the so-called corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams being dismissed with prejudice. Hey, ABL, what does that mean? Great question. Glad you asked. When the case is dismissed with prejudice, it cannot be brought back up. It is officially over. It's shut. It's done. Now, some wanted this to be dismissed without prejudice, to use it as some type of weapon against him. Oh, you better stay in line. You better do what we say. You better be on our side as far as being against immigration, or we're going to bring these charges back. I don't think that's true, because the reason why he was charged in the first place is because he was against the migrant crisis in New York City, which cost them $7 billion with a B, $7 billion U.S. American cold hard cash dollars. Why do you need to be coerced to be against that? It makes no sense. What person in the right mind would be in favor of the crime and the violence and the mayhem that the migrants cause in New York City? Tearing up the Roosevelt Hotel, terrorizing Midtown. Why would anybody want that? Now, that's what we got to get into. We got to get into a podcast with Andrew Schultz. We got to get into a news clip of the actual case being dismissed. And if you want to see these clips, articles, anything, I'll link to it in the description box. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And we have breaking news. A federal judge is dismissing corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Adams was accused of engaging in a quid pro quo with the Trump administration to drop the charges in exchange for cooperation on immigration enforcement. Let's get right to Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky on this one. So, Aaron, is there a chance this case could come back? It could be brought up again?
No,
or is this done?
And that's what the Justice Department had wanted. They wanted the case dropped to free the mayor to help carry out President Trump's immigration priorities, but they wanted the case dismissed in such a way that it could be revived. And the judge just said that was unprecedented and breathtaking, and in effect could leave this unavoidable perception, in his words, that the mayor's freedom depends on his ability to carry out the immigration enforcement priorities of the administration. And that he might be more beholden, the judge said, to the demands of the federal government than to the wishes of his own constituents. The judge said he just wasn't going to go along. So he did dismiss the case, but he did so in a way that it cannot be brought back.
Now, again, I'm not really buying that argument, because the only reason why Eric Adams got in trouble is because he went against the grain. He defied the Democratic Party as a Democrat and was vocal about the migrant crisis. Remember, he was going to D.C. when Biden was the president still to speak about the migrant crisis. As he's on the plane, one of his top aides gets raided. So when he lands, he hears the news. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to play like that. And that was when everything started to go downhill. He finds himself in court indicted because he was vocal against the migrant crisis. Why would you need to coerce him to do what he's already been doing? It doesn't make any sense.
And these are sort of layered accusations. On the one hand, the accusations Adams was initially facing, and then the accusations that this was some kind of quid pro quo arrangement to drop it.
That's right. And the judge, importantly, in his opinion, said he was making no determination about the mayor's guilt or innocence on the corruption charges. And the whole idea was that the mayor was taking money improperly in exchange for official favors, most notably helping the Turkish government open up a new consulate here in Manhattan, even though the fire department had building code concerns at the time. That was one of the main allegations. So,
but what are we talking about here? Building code violations, a building that got open. I mean, the thing that they wanted to accuse him of here is so small, it's so minute. A bunch of other elected officials have done worse, and they face no punishment. You're talking about governors, mayors, senators, House reps, etc., have done worse out in the open and face no consequence. Again, the reason why he was targeted is because He spoke against the migrant crisis, and the Democrats didn't like that because he should be on their side, right? As a Democrat, hey, be a good Democrat. Don't do that. Oh, you don't want to be a good Democrat? You want to carry it like that? Okay, well, watch this. Here goes an indictment. The same exact thing they did to Trump. It's no difference. It's called lawfare by the permanent government. And as a matter of fact, we got to get to a few more things. We got to get to Eric Adams speaking on the permanent government, because that is a real thing. You have elected officials that come and go, but the permanent people, they are there forever and they have their own agenda. But first, a word from our sponsor. Bank of America recently announced a data breach, and here's what's really disturbing. They didn't tell anybody for months. On average, it takes a company 277 days to report a breach. So your personal data could have been exposed for months, and you're just now hearing about it today. And this isn't even the first Bank of America breach that has been announced this year. And last year, Citigroup and JP Morgan Chase both announced breaches. Your bank could be breached right now, and you could be months away from learning about it. Do you really want to give a criminal a 9-month head start? That's why it's a really important time to be talking about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura alerts me if they find my phone number, email, or social security number on the dark web. They let me know ASAP if anyone tries to use my information or access my credit or bank accounts. They give me up to $5 million in identity theft insurance in case of the worst case scenario. They also provide a lot of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one app. Check out my link at aura.com/Anthony Logan to try for 14 days for free. That'd be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is compromised. You'll find that out before one of these companies are forced to notify you. I highly recommend you do this right now, because the only thing most of these companies are going to do is offer you free credit monitoring. And what good will that do at this point? That's like installing security cameras after you didn't already been robbed. And do you want a real world story about how this service can help you? Well, back in 2019, I'm streaming as normal, and before I know it, I have not one, not two, but 6 cops at my back door, guns drawn. They tell us, go outside, go on the ground. They come back very apologetic. I'm sorry, Mr. Logan, you've been swatted because of a false anonymous tip. Now, that so-called anonymous tip could have been stopped if I had Aura on my side back then. And look, I get it. There are so many data breaches out there that your social might as well be written on the wall of a bathroom stall. But if you've not been victimized yet, then why keep rolling the dice? If it's because protecting yourself feels overwhelming, just get Aura and let it do all the hard work for you. I'm not leaving myself or my family vulnerable to these data breaches, and neither should you. Visit aura.com/Anthony Logan to start your free 2-week trial today. And we're back. Now, here is Eric Adams on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz. This was a very good interview, and this piece of it is very important because what happened to Eric Adams can happen to anyone if you find yourself going against the wrong people. Check it out.
But it is a shot at your political career.
Oh, and
and is it frustrating to not, or do you know who you think it came from? Is Biden aware of this, or is it the people that are underneath Biden? Is it completely separate?
That's a great question. That's a great question. There are a lot of people, and I don't want to sound conspiracy theory, but there's a permanent government. There are people that see presidents and mayors come and go. Their attitudes will wait you out. What book is a great book, man? Everybody should read the book, Kash Patel's Government Gangsters.
Okay. Now I got to pause for the fair use. Andrew Schultz, don't get no copyright strike, man. Look out for your brother, man. Don't give me no copyright strike. But Government Gangsters, Kash Patel, our new FBI director. Check it out.
Okay.
You need him on the pod.
Yeah, you should read that book, man.
Okay.
Kash breaks this down.
What is he? And is this what
he's now the FBI director?
Of course. We love Kash.
Yeah.
But is this what people refer to? And I think this word has been used too much, but the deep state or whatever it is.
It's not used too much. It's real, brother.
Oh, really?
It is 100% real, and we've seen that a lot over the past few years. During Trump, we saw it. I mean, the prime example of the deep state at work is not only what happened to Eric Adams, but also what happened to President Trump. We saw it. And magically, once he becomes a president, all the legal stuff just went away. Oh, he did this, he did that, he's a felon, but yet he ain't go to jail. How'd that happen?
And so, think about it.
Who's part of it? Like, what are there current like senators and that kind of stuff, or is it people that we don't even know but they're always existing?
You know, I have never seen anyone do such a good job of defining that deep state. You should have him on.
I would. Tell him to come on.
You should have him on.
We would love it.
The way he's
probably listening right now, right?
The way, because he was in. It's like me talking about what happens in NYPD after 22 years.
Yeah.
Cash was in the DOD. He was in the FBI. He prosecuted terrorists. So he comes with this wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And the way he breaks it down, it's just unbelievable what this deep state is about and why it's so important for Americans that we cannot have a weaponizing of our prosecutorial powers. Now, imagine this.
Now, before he goes any further, what he's saying is 100% correct. People commit crimes. People do bad things. But when you are prosecuting good people, when you're doing little ticky-tack stuff as retaliation, now it's like, okay, what do we have here? Do we have a true justice system, or are we in sort of a banana republic where when you fall out of favor politically, we punish you criminally when that wouldn't have been the case before?
The Southern District, right? Southern District of New York. That's one of the most powerful U.S. Attorney's office. In their mind, they said, we're sovereign. You know what that means?
What do you mean they said they're sovereign?
That they don't have to answer to anyone.
Oh.
They don't have to answer to the president. They don't have to answer to the U.S. Attorney in Washington, the Attorney General in Washington. They believe they're a sovereign entity. You're not elected. You know what I'm saying? Imagine an entity believing they don't have to answer to anyone but
you
their
have to
entity.
answer to the people, and ultimately the people that we put in power.
All right, so there we go. So again, shout out to New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Andrew Schultz on the Flagrant podcast. Really good interview. I'll link to it in the box if you've not seen it. I'll link to it in full. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Eric Adams. I said from the beginning it was a witch hunt. I said that it was prosecutorial misconduct. I knew right it would. I mean, it was so obvious. They sent him a message from the beginning. I knew what it was when he was on that plane and they raided one of his aides. I already knew what it was, and I figured it would happen. I think Trump even called it. Trump said, "Okay, Eric Adams, New York City mayor, a Democrat, speaking about the migrant crisis in a negative way. They're not going to like that. They're going to prosecute him. They're going to indict him." And sure enough, it happened. Anybody could have seen it coming. This is what the deep state has become. They are weaponized against political enemies. And that shouldn't be what it is. You should prosecute actual bad guys that do bad things because they do bad things. You shouldn't prosecute regular people, good guys that you don't like, because you want to retaliate. That shouldn't be what's happening in the USA. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what Eric Adams said about the deep state? How you feel about the DOJ allegedly trying to keep a carrot, dangling the carrot, talking about, oh, well, dismiss it, but without prejudice, so we could bring it back if he doesn't do right. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I don't believe anything about them trying to coerce Eric Adams. There's no need to. Why would you do that when he already then came out and said that the migrant crisis is a problem? He didn't already came out and said we got to have tighter border security. The things that they say they're trying to blackmail him to do with this dismissal is what he was already doing. It makes no sense to me. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.